What's up, fam? Welcome back to the podcast. Who You Are Is Okay. I'm Clayton Reid Jones, CRJ, author of the book Who Else Could It Be But God? My relationships led me to him. My current memoir is entitled, and fam, I said this a while ago. I said, I keep changing the title. I changed the title, and I guessed it. I'm back at it again. I want to shout out Dave East. I know he'll probably never hear this podcast, but I watched him on the Drink Champs the other day, and they asked him about the title of his work, and he actually reminded me of my first inclination when it came to this work. He made a comment about, like, in one word, titles that kind of describes the work, the body of work, and where he's at. And when I initially thought about this work, the first word that hit me was trauma. So I just decided to go back to that original title, Trauma, and then allow my love letter to the world to be the subtitle. So my current memoir, with that said, is Trauma, my love letter to the world, and that will be the last time that I change the title. Today, man, I just want to dive right in. The NBA, fam, the NBA, the players, decided to make a stance, concerning the violence, that's constantly plaguing us as Black Americans in this country. No one's holding police accountable. Incidents keep reoccurring, and they decided to boycott the games. Initially, I thought it was the season, but further development, it's not the whole season. But anyway, my man Rodney Green is with me. He gave me a call, and he made a comment. My social media post, he said, "Yeah, I don't comment, I call." So he called. He pulled up on me. He pulled up on me today.
I pulled up today.
Yeah, and he feeling he has some things on his chest.
Well, I got some things on my chest all the time.
Yeah.
People. I don't want to come on here today and be politically correct. It's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's not who I am all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna catch the ball. I'm gonna catch this thing.
Yeah,
it's gonna come. Sitting there yesterday, heavily involved over the last 2 years in youth sports, and thought crossed my mind last night. A friend of mine said that he had an organization, youth football, and a couple Ravens players come through every year and talk to the kids, and got me to thinking. They got me to thinking, like, these kids still got registration fees. These kids still got to pay dues. You got these professional athletes come out, and it's fucked up. The inner city kids, the kids that look like them need a chance, still got to struggle. Parents still got to struggle to get the registration, to get all the dues, the equipment, to travel, just to have the kids be able to chase the dreams, or to have something to do. So when I had that thought, and then I hear the NBA, and I'm like, they boycott. First thing I said was a boycott bullshit. I said that shit bullshit. When Kyrie was talking about taking a stand, wasn't no money on the table then. It was all money was to be lost. So they waited, they played, got some checks, and then they like, oh, we gonna boycott. On the same day that the Republicans have a convention, you're gonna try to take the lead story over like that. I said all this shit connected. But outside of the political side of things, not getting political, I don't have no dub in that fight. I'm just like, look at us. Look at us as a people, how we run around, who we choose to idolize. Who we choosing to say our heroes are. We got our kids looking up to these dudes as heroes. And these dudes trying to bring about change comfortable. They trying to do that shit comfortable.
Oh man, say that shit again.
Yeah, no, that's real shit. Them niggas trying to do that shit comfortable. You got them checks coming in. That shit went from a boycott to all teams sitting down. Once one team sit down, they gonna miss some checks. Once all teams sit down, there's a behind the scenes agreement that this is a good statement and political move to make. Everybody that can hear this know, you've been on jobs, you know how that shit works. Somebody say something, they gonna pull them in the office. Everybody start to say something, now we gotta have a meeting. Now that one person, he get vilified for stepping out first. But then when everybody get behind him, then it's going to be some change. But management only going to give you what they can give. We don't know the books. We don't know the numbers. Now, as regards to the NBA, I don't know how much revenue they lost yesterday, nor do I care. As you know, and as relates to the young guy that got shot, you know, the protests now are, you know, supposedly over. My heart go out to his family.
What was his name? Blake Jacob?
Jacob Blake or
Blake Jacob, yeah. And please forgive me, because like I said, I've disconnected from a lot of the news.
I have too, but I have been very connected to the NBA because the NBA has done to me exactly what Kyrie said it would do to me. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about me.
It created a distraction.
I was distracted from this shit. And don't get me wrong, I was loving the bubble. You know, I thought they was competitive. I thought that, you know, it was an NBA I've never seen before. So Kyrie became a distant memory to me. And then last night, it reminded me of the same shit that Kaepernick was doing.
Yes, indeed.
You know, where though Kaepernick was the first one taking a knee, other people took a knee, and then all of a sudden it's politicized. And, you know, Kaepernick still had to stand on that side alone, just like Kyrie doing that.
Because even Dwight Howard abandoned it.
Yes. Everybody except Avery Bradley. He chose not to play.
Some that chose and he gave a political correct reason to justify, which was brilliant.
It's a business.
Yeah, it was brilliant on his part.
It's a business.
Yeah.
No, and I get that. When the players now have chosen to go back and play, what was yesterday for? Not only what was yesterday for, I challenge everybody, because I noticed the podcast and I know how things get sensitive.
Well, don't worry about that.
Well, I know that, but I challenge everybody to look up what Jared Kushner said as relates to the NBA players not playing yesterday.
Tell him.
He said it's easy for them to miss a day at work because they get paid. He said, you know, tell somebody else in the streets to miss a day at work because they feel a certain way and not get paid. Now, Jared Kushner is the president's son-in-law. He don't give a shit about that message that they sent out. That was response to them doing that on the day in which him and his party was the one to be the focal point of the news media. All this shit is just news media. I ain't even tired of it. I really ain't even tired of it. I really don't give a fuck. Like, I'm beyond, like, I'm tired of it. You know, I'm doing, you know, I got this saying, I always, man, you always rap, Clayton. I do what's in front of me every day. You know, and I assume everybody else, you know, live the same way. You know, we try to think beyond that, but you can only do what's in front of you. Those NBA players, when Kyrie spoke out, had that shit in front of them. They had that shit in front of them. They decided that they was going to play. Not only did they decide that they was going to play, they had players speak out against Kyrie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was uncalled for, because once you made the decision that you was going to play, to kick him in his chest was irrelevant at that point, because you already said, I was going to side with the money. I'm siding with the money. Side with the money. Right. All right, so then you're going to kick your brother and you side with the money, and then you're going to actually say we pulling from the games yesterday, but keep the money. There was no need to have a meeting today. If you had made your mind up, right, that it got to be about, you got to bring about change. How in the fuck is one day of not playing going to bring about change?
Like this man, right?
One motherfucking day.
Right. Well, see, I want to justify my post this morning. The one you commented on, you said I like it, but I don't agree with the boycott. And my post wasn't about necessarily the boycott. That's why I made a statement afterwards. Stay the course.
Yeah, you did.
So you're absolutely right. One day, it's not going to bring about. It's just going to bring more ratings for sports and news outlets. A story to talk about. So I agree with that.
But now I will say this: the post you put up, I called you up immediately, man. Look, you know, I feel in the post, but let me tell you how I feel in general.
Can I share first what the post is about?
Absolutely.
The post, what I stated this morning was, I said, let the spirit of Haile Selassie, President Robert Mugabe, Patrice Lumumba, Che Guevara, Toussaint Desalegn, Muhammad Ali, let the spirit of these individuals live in us. live in us all. And I was saying that in terms of people who have fought for change and pushed back against what they believe their oppressors were. We constantly keep asking this society, our oppressors, to make amendments for us, to allow us justice and equality and things like that, when your oppressor manipulated you in the first place to be able to oppress you. And now you're asking them not to do that anymore, when at some point you have to understand that you have to fight against it to come from underneath that thumb of oppression.
Absolutely.
That's true revolution. It's not necessarily about war. It's just about the radical thinking and the changing of the mindset. So that's what the spirit of the post was about. It was about, I see the NBA players, this boycott. Not that the boycott, because I'm not pro boycott. I think it's more the same, but I'm pro, let's take money out of the establishment. Let's take back control. Let's realize the power that we really have. And the players are the power. The players are the product. And I firmly believe the players can start their own league.
They don't believe it, and that goes that goes back to my first challenge. When we start talking about the players taking back the power and starting their own league, and I'm sitting there talking about they ain't even helping out the communities for real. Like when I'm sitting there, I started off this shit by saying you got youth sports on multiple levels, football, goddamn basketball, the shit that we grew up doing in our neighborhoods. There's no more neighborhoods. There's communities now. That's a difference. People got to understand that shit.
What's the difference?
Communities are much more organized. They plan. They restrict you from certain shit.
And what's neighborhoods?
Neighborhoods, we was just in that bitch.
It was just authentic.
It was authentic. It was raw.
Innate.
Where we come from.
Organic.
Man, it was organic. So, you know, it was a lot of lessons and a lot of talent being developed within that neighborhood. So, because all the talent was still in the neighborhood.
My takeaway from that is a community is like taking a neighborhood and creating a brand. You know, it's something to commercialize.
Absolutely.
The whole idea of commercialism.
I'll give you a prime example of that shit. You got, when I was talking about youth football and I was talking about youth basketball, which has been enormous costs associated with that in the inner city or any urban or black kid wanting to participate in those things. There's an enormous cost attached to the gym fees, the registration, the training, the mentorship. It costs you. When I go in some of these suburban areas, right? These people who want to feel like, hey, I'm a part of the Black Lives Movement. They willing to accept me, you know what I mean, accept what I'm bringing because I represent that feeling they can get where as though they like, oh yeah, we down with the cause. And in those communities, they pay for everything for their kids in youth sports because they come together and do it. I'm not really saying that that's right or that's wrong or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about an athlete. Like I'm the type of person that try to stick to the subject. Those NBA players, they boycott, they protest, but on the ground level, in the streets, we know how many black kids out here with talent don't have an opportunity because they don't have the fees and the costs and the things associated with this shit.
Well, I'm gonna say this in defense of the players, right? Let's just say Baltimore, because we've had a lot of players and stars leave this city and get on that level, and let's just say maybe it's a lack of connection from the athletes that left Baltimore to get back. But even with that, I believe Melo does things. I believe players do things. You got to know that one of the things that the mainstream media is not really encouraged to do is to empower blacks. So some of the stuff may be lost in the narrative and not being reported and not being exposed because of the spirit of it and what it can do and what it can generate. Now, maybe it's just a Baltimore thing, because in other areas in their hometown stuff, they may be doing things. We just don't know. So in fairness to the athlete, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? When you getting that type of money, fuck fair. Fuck fair. You there's so much, so many ways out here that you can deliver your message. You don't need that the media.
Yeah, but I just meant as far as funding, money, giving back on the grassroots level. I do agree with you. I don't believe giving back to grassroots levels is giving money to these organizations and nonprofits. I agree with that.
I have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So I understand
that. Right.
You're right. So because I actually have a nonprofit, I understand how that money is funded.
Okay.
I also understand that, and the one thing me and you discussed a long time ago, when I started the nonprofit, first thing motherfucker told me was advertise. I don't advertise because I'm in the streets. I don't come on your podcast and advertise because I'm in the motherfucking streets. You know what I mean? Like when I look at these athletes and I you know what? If I give a shout out to anybody,
out there really building relationships.
I'm building relationships. If I give a shout out to anybody, Steven Jackson.
Okay.
He be in the streets.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now I don't know to the extent where his money or any foundation he got is really going towards, but I see him with those people that look like me. I see him with those people that look like where I came from. You know what I mean? You know them people I'm talking about. You know them that sugar water, that quarter stuff. I see with them. You're $1 million athlete. You're a $1 million athlete. You don't really be with them.
Right.
So when I see $1 million athlete with them, I'm like, that's real.
Right.
That's real. When I see these NBA players walk out, and when they walk out, then they have a meeting. I don't need y'all to walk out and have a meeting with white establishment who's controlling the narrative in the media, like you said. I need y'all to walk out and come home. Come the fuck home. These kids need you. Like we can't do it with our limited resources and income that we have. We do the best we can in these streets to support the youth, whether it's giving words of encouragement. I got a homeboy of mine that Briggs. Shout out to Briggs. He told me, man, I gotta have money because I gotta pay the toll when I go through the city. I said, pay the toll. He said, yeah, it's easy kids. It's for them. If I'm gonna pay the state, I'm gonna pay them too. I said, shit, that was real. From that point in time, I started holding money for them. But it is paying toll. If I'm gonna pay Governor Hogan and Chesapeake Bay and all that shit, they can get it too. They ain't out watching my money. Paying tolls. We paying tolls. They ain't a nuisance. That's what it is. So when we doing this shit like this and we building and we communicating on the street level, and we in the streets messing with these kids, trying to give them words of encouragement, and they looking at these players, these athletes, with their luxuries. What this whole pandemic has really, taught me is these athletes have socially distanced from us. And that shit, and that protest yesterday, the way they did it and they walked out, and I don't see them in the streets today, the first thing they did is met with them owners, meant that they try and keep that money.
Ain't no question.
They try and keep that money. Now you keep that money, all right, that's fine. You keeping that money.
Possibly, or it may be. It goes back to what you said. They don't really realize the power they have. It's still a mentality. It's an inferiority complex that's been ingrained, I believe, in Black America.
Absolutely.
So with that, you still hold the owners a high esteem. Also, a certain stipulation of the union and the owner contracts and the verbiage of the labor and agreements and things of this nature that handcuffs the players to some degree. But it's still a concern with the money, because when you start talking about going against any kind of verbiage in a contract based on your moral compass, and you're considering that, you're still considering the money.
Yeah, you consider the money, and
that's what it all comes
then
down
another
to.
thing this pandemic has taught us is that we was raised to believe that money was backed by gold. It taught us. Now there's no gold standard. It was wiped away years ago. So now, for those that was aware, that was aware of that, and those that weren't aware of that, now the pandemic has brought more people to that conversation. Possibly, but it's opened up the eyes of more.
I think
it's reached more.
I think it's just confirmed for people that already can see. Because if you can't see that, you can't see that.
That's true. That's possibly true.
Yeah.
But I will
because
say
I don't think society is moving in the way in which they came into that light.
Well, I will say this: we see them print money.
No doubt. We just did it with the handouts and all that stuff.
We seen them print money, and we seen them close the borders.
Absolutely.
Those two things right there, hand in hand, means that the energy and the power behind the money is those within the border.
Yeah.
So if you black and if you're an athlete and you see that on your level with those millions of dollars, right? You have to know that it doesn't really start and end with you. You have to go back into those trenches.
But it does start in with them.
No. You have to. No, I agree with you. It does start in with them. What you saying, but what I'm saying is, when you know that, you know where to go now. Yeah. Go to the streets on those grassroots level, because you can't trust them to get that money there. You can't trust them to get those words.
You gotta eliminate these middlemen.
You gotta take the middleman out the equation.
Absolutely.
I had a guy tell me the other day, because in addition to me doing a nonprofit, I'm also a broker. He said to me, you know, Jewish guy, you know what I mean? Friend of mine, right? You know, man, he cool. I ain't gonna say a friend of mine, cool. He said to me, man, you know, there's really no need for no broker. He said, that's just a bullshit job. I said, don't tell nobody that shit, man. He said, it's a bullshit job. And we as a community gotta understand that if we not going down in those streets and we are empowering people and trusting people to broker these deals between those that have and those that don't have, the broker is bullshit. So you gotta take them out the equation and you gotta go deliver it yourself, because living in that model of service for that amount of time hasn't resulted in any impact. So you gotta do something different now.
You actually are making my point for me and my stance on the whole boycott and all the movements, the Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. To me, it's still more of the same, because we still are involving someone else in our business and our affairs.
Absolutely.
Now, you said the broker is bullshit. I equate that to the owners. The owner is the middleman between the product and the fans and the consumer. We feel like the owner and his relationships and his connections is what's going to help us get us to the people and the masses and give us these platforms and all that. When they are the platform, you are it. And that's my plight, and that's my thing against this whole boycott. And I want them to stay the course, because sometimes God has a way of moving us into a direction of freedom, and we don't necessarily see that in our eyes. But it happens as a chain reaction, so to speak. The bottom line to me is money, and the bottom line is we still don't feel empowered enough to know that we are the money. You can start your own league. You can do, like back when Isaiah tried to do it. Right. You can eliminate all this.
He was blackballed.
He had no support.
He had no support.
I always felt like Jordan and Magic and some of these players, if they started a league, because they have these leagues in their local neighborhoods when they go back home. They start leagues on a lower level. But the problem is we're so addicted to America.
And that was the point I was making.
We can't break our addiction. The addiction is just like Doc Rivers. I applaud him. I love the statement he made. And it's like he said, we love something that don't love us back. I equate that to a crack addict or a heroin addict. You loving this substance that don't love you back. It's detrimental. We love America. We're so addicted. Until we get beyond our addiction for America, we'll never find our freedom. The freedom is breaking the addiction. You can crawl before you walk. These owners started a league. They had hard times. It was ebbs and flows, ups and downs. They had a barnyard. They had in college places, high school gyms. You do what you can with what you got, and you grow.
Well, you said something, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because you just said some shit to me, and you was like, you want them to stay the course, right?
Yes.
But they didn't. Now how do you?
Well, it's still part of the course.
Okay.
Right. It's still part of the course. It's still more the same. I still see they're not really courageous enough. They haven't really woken up to their freedom.
Right.
But one thing about God, and thing about that heroin addiction.
Oh, absolutely.
You're gonna get tired because you're gonna hit at some point. You're gonna hit. You can see the fatigue hitting and weighing on people now. One thing I know for sure, Rock, when you get tired, you can no longer hold on. And that's freedom when you let go. You're going to have to let go of all these things, this access that you've gained and the comfort, all the luxury.
Luxury ain't shit, but it ain't nothing but shit you don't need anyway.
You can't take the stuff with you. It's more shit you got to manage. So yeah, with that, like I definitely feel you on the Kyrie thing. That was my first thought when I heard this news. Just like Colin, I made a video post months ago when the whole bubble idea came up and Kyrie was making his stance. And I said, well, he be the next Colin Kaepernick. That was the premise of the video. But the media assassinated his character, and it's not until LeBron James or some of the others say something, then it's okay. And Kyrie is looking like, oh, he's just crazy, he's selfish. They write a narrative to make it seem like he's only interested in himself,
right?
In terms of why he's making this decision.
Well, here's the thing: they did their job.
Yeah,
they did their job.
But
they did their job.
When you look in the media now, you look at everybody now, everybody's fighting for their self-interest. They're doing the same thing.
But this is what I mean by they did their job. It's up to us to determine whether you're a customer.
Right, they did
They did their job. Are you a customer?
Right.
Do you subscribe?
Right.
No, so I'm saying you're right.
Yes.
You're right. Yes. The media did that. Yes. Now I'm gonna challenge myself inside.
Right.
Inside. I ain't talking about nobody.
Right.
Me.
Right.
Am I buying what they selling?
Right.
Am I going to that restaurant that don't want me in there?
Right. That's
right. And that's where I'm at with it. That's where I've been at with it. I really don't. I mean, I do social media. Right. I'm on there. I mean, I see what you do and all that stuff. But I'm not one of those. I'm not the person that really can get on there and speak a certain way. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying about that, here's what I'm saying about that. I challenge people, everybody, to find their voice and put it to where they're comfortable at and make an impact.
But that's not everybody.
That's not everybody.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's not everybody, but I'm saying that's the challenge.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge. Because even if it's not you, you have something to give. You have something to offer. Right. And even with these athletes that don't think that they have the power that they have, they don't understand, or maybe they do understand, but they've accumulated a certain amount of currency in which allows them to live a certain way, and they're not ready to give that up yet. But these kids need them, because I see it every day. When I see a kid pull up at a practice or at a registration, and he don't have the money and he don't have the family support, he got to figure out a way to do this. These are 12 and 13.
Yeah, but the kids need the community as a whole.
But what I'm saying is,
they need all of us.
When I see them do that, it's not. I'm starting with the athlete. I'm gonna keep going down.
But don't start with the community. You know why? Because you just made a statement. Am I buying into it? I gotta challenge myself. So guess what's making all that work? People consuming this shit.
Absolutely. Well,
so I go back to the NFL.
That's why I'm pulling up today.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Because I'm not the pull-up person.
Right,
I'm pulling up to say, if this is reaching people out there, you start the community. It
starts with the community all day, every day. We make them what they are. Going back to the NFL, when Cap took that stand, I started turning off, and I'm glad, too, I wanted to make a point about this whole black power, consume black, only do black. This was the movement and the battle cry and the current climate in this country. But yet when Cap took his stand, and he was banned from the NFL, people didn't stand with him, even consumers. We make it what it is, so we kept consuming, we're watching. Yeah, okay, my dad made the statement, I'm not buying none of the merchandise. But as long as your eyes is glued to the television, that's a check. You don't understand, you still supporting it.
It's still energy.
Right, so this is why I'm like, I love my people, but miss me with all that, because you're not really ready to push the needle, move the needle, until you're ready to break the addiction.
Absolutely.
You understand? It starts with the community first and foremost. I can't blame the players because they're addicted. People are like we all are addicted. You understand what I'm saying? So they are no different than us. They just addicted to a different form of it. So it starts with you. It starts with that person in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? So. And now, and getting back to my point, everybody's making and they jockeying for what their self-interest is. The sports media is going to write a narrative now, and they're going to talk about how they need these platforms. These platforms are so great. This is how you get the message. No, the platform is great for you because it gives you your position, your job, and your check. I saw a social media post. A brother of mine, I love my man, right? I'm not even going to say his name, I'm not going to shout him out, but it's like, what good is boycotting going to do? It sounds like a person that the system is working for. Those that the way the current state of everything is, and they benefit, they found their niche, and they're making a way, I don't want to see nothing change. Everything I say, my stance is going to justify my position. You understand what I'm saying? And then those on the other end of it, their stance is going to be about what they need. Just like you just said, man, these kids need us. Well, you facing the harsh reality of that, so that's your position. You understand what I'm saying? But that's why I love Muhammad Ali. You understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why I love, and there's others. And this is why I love Cat. What was most beneficial to Ali was to go along to get along. Why? Because he was reaping the benefits, right? He gave that up. That takes a lot of courage. Cat, he didn't willfully give it up, but he stood on what he believed in more. So his position was more authentic to me. You know, it was really about humanity.
And that's what I felt. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
When I read your post today.
Mm-hmm.
I was more so like those people who were named in your post.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel the impact. I still feel it today. You know, Kyrie, for us to be talking about him today versus something that he mentioned 2 months ago, that's impactful.
That's impactful.
That's impactful.
Yes.
What those players did yesterday, and for us today, be like, man, fuck that.
It's
shit.
getting ready to be a mute point.
That's not impactful.
Yeah, it's getting ready to be a mute point.
So my thing is to all of us. Mm-hmm. I challenge all of us, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge all of us to do what's in front of us each day, because that's where the impact is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like I said, I came here and the first thing I spoke on was youth. Youth sports. I didn't speak on it in the NBA yet.
Right, youth. Yes.
Because I can see that they had to start somewhere.
Right.
That's where the mindset and the whole programming is starting. So that I'm like you, I'm not blaming them.
No.